Here we go.
Okay, that's Steve. This is Al. I think this is episode 4. We've got our burgers from Phil's.
Actually, I got a hot dog.
Oh, he got a hot dog. I take that back.
Sort of like a char dog, Chicago style with tomatoes, onions, and I told him to put some jalapenos on there.
Yeah, there are a few.
Yeah, so
And the biggest thing about mine, I got my
mustard, of course, no ketchup.
green bean fries. These things are really good.
I got onion rings.
And the funny thing is that it took me about 2 miles and 5 minutes to get back over here, even though it was like a block away, because Google tried to kill me, basically. I thought that Google would take me the right way, and it got confused, and I got confused, which reminded me of Friday.
Which is very strange, Al, because I live 200
yeah,
yards
I
away across the street on the same exact block. So why even turn Google on?
Force of habit. But I was gonna mention that this reminded me of Friday, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, yeah, just 2 days ago. Some of you know that I was down in Corpus, and we were there Monday through Friday. So obviously we kind of acclimated. I should have known, the lay of the land, and not only that, but we've been to that same condo once a year for almost the past 15 years or 20 years or something. Anyway, but day that we're leaving. My wife sends me down to get the luggage rack to bring back up so we can get everything. And I get kind of confused about things for some reason. And we're on the 8th floor. Somehow I ended up getting off on the 3rd floor. I get back in the elevator and somehow I get off on the 5th floor. That's how I was. And my point in bringing both of those things up is that it feels, I think, to many people like that, because of the chaos that's going on with our country right now. Case in point with the current situation with the Democrats in Congress, where, to put it bluntly, everybody that I know is pretty pissed off with the leadership, because they seem to have lost their spine. It's like the Republicans, no brain, no heart, and our guys, no spine. So take it away, Steve, when you swallow a bite. So,
okay, well, yeah, if any of them ever had one to begin with.
Well, that's true too, but
look, there's a good portion of them who are just neoliberals, who are, yes, they're hamstrung because they have to play by these rules, and they spend most of their time trying to get money, and they gotta, still have to play these games to the lobbyists and this, that, and the other. And then they also have to play the games with trying to still believe that there's compromise to be had. And that there's somehow that if we try to negotiate, like, okay, we'll mix this bill with that bill, because you know how they try to bundle this shit together so that they can say, well, we'll pass this if you pass that for us, right? But, and maybe there was some, level of give and take in the past where compromises like that could be made. But I'm talking, we're going back to the 50s and 60s, where you were still arguing about how much to spend on legislation and not on the actual legislation itself. Like, it wasn't like, let's not do this at all, period, or let's take this away, period. It was like, okay, how much do we spend? And where do we spend it? Where do we allocate it? Things like that. Well, at this point, it's just like, there's nothing to negotiate. And then trying to think that you can negotiate with people that are obviously not acting in good faith. We've had this discussion before. They're not being reasonable. They're not being logical. You can present them whatever evidence you want. They don't care. They don't care if what they're doing is completely idiotic and stupid and it's going to be the exact opposite effect of what they say it's going to do, or if it's completely illegal, or if it's just plain cruel and whatever. They don't care. They don't care at this point. They don't give a shit. They're the type of people who they'll play a game, break the rules, lie and cheat to you. You try to play by the rules, but even if you start winning somehow, just by fluke of nature, or that you start getting things right, they're going to flip the board and say they won. So why are you playing games with these people? Stop. Don't negotiate. Don't meet them halfway. There's no half Nazi. There's no earth is flat or round. There's a half circle globe. It's fucking round. So stick to your guns. Stop playing. Anybody who's capitulating or the censuring, the 10 Democrats that went ahead and censured, what's his
Al
name?
Green, yeah.
Al Green. get out of town. Stop. The ones who said pass this budget, no, don't pass the budget. Let them, and then don't let them twist the narrative and say Democrats stopped the funding. No, you did with your stupid stuff that you're putting in here that is absolutely not only unfair but unconstitutional and shouldn't be done. So no, let them take it. Don't let them control the narrative. Stay focused. Don't let them twist in your own mind that you think that that somehow you're playing the long game or something. There is no long game with these people anymore. This is fisticuffs in the fucking alley. Like, we're done. Like, you can't. I mean, it's over.
Well, I think giving people like Chuck Schumer the benefit of the doubt, I think what's going on in his head is that he thinks that we are somehow still at worst like we were in the first Trump presidency. But that's not the reality that we're living in.
They're brain dead. They think that there's some like rationale at play here, or that you can play some kind of game at this point. When, like I said, they're just going to toss the board up and say they won. Like, you don't play the game anymore. Stop playing the game.
Right. Well, and the funny thing is they say, oh, well, what about a government shutdown? Have you not been paying attention to what they've done with the different departments? Exactly. It can't get any worse. And so what you do if you sign off on it is you basically give what's the term I'm looking for? You give approval to what they've been doing.
Right.
Which is the last thing that we should be doing. The very, 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 very last thing.
What's going to stop them from continually putting stuff in there to force your hand to go to the brinksmanship, to play chicken with you, and then you pull away every time? They're just going to keep upping the ante every time. They're never going to stop. They're never going to stop, ever. They're never going to stop. If you think they're going to ever play fair or do things by the book or play by any rules, no. These people are sick and twisted and demented. They're so far gone. They're so far gone and so helpless to watch these people. It's depressing. It's absolutely freaking depressing to watch these people just waste away in their own lies and delusions and literally flip their internalized hate for themselves on other people. It's just outrageous. I mean, everything that they do, they project onto Democrats and libs. If you go into comment sections on things, and what they're saying, calling libs a brain disease and all this other stuff, it's literally fucking flipping at things. It's wild, man. It's psychosis. It's absolute and total psychosis. It's just ick.
I don't know if this is an offshoot or the same piece, but I've been seeing more and more of this. I get Christian nationalist rhetoric. I guess that's the best way to put it. I mean, I'm used to the idea of, right-wing Christians that are hypocrites or right-wing Christians that whatever. But the idea that they say things that just flat out deny what's in the Bible. I mean, I haven't called myself a Christian in decades, so that's not my point. But it just baffles me from a position of just straight up logic and history. It just, I mean, I mentioned it before, but like the case in point of J.D. Vance trying to rewrite what the Golden Rule means. I mean, I can't come up with a better example of what I'm talking about. But I'm seeing more and more of that, and I don't know whether I'm seeing it and it was there all along, or if they're coming up with crazier and crazier things to say. Probably a little bit of both, but it's just some wild ass shit.
Yeah, they're going to take whatever's expedient and beneficial to them at the moment and twist whatever reality into that to what they need for it to suit them in the moment. So they'll completely flip too. And we had this discussion before.
Yeah.
And it's not just Trump who does this. It's the individuals even in the party itself. Look at Rubio. When was it? 5? I don't remember, years ago. There's video of him talking about what a monster Trump is and what exactly he's going to do. And there he is sitting in the freaking Oval Office with him.
I did it with Ted Cruz and a handful of others, but
Yeah.
And,
They
and
don't care. They have no integrity. They have no spine. They're very disturbed individuals who subconsciously know exactly what they're doing. And I think the first one falling apart under all this is Musk.
yeah,
What it looks like to me, because
well, and the small glimmer of hope that I'm glad you brought that up. I'm not sure here in the United States, but worldwide, people are turning on him. I mean, like they're basically saying, "Hey, Tesla is not the only electronic car in town, and it's not the best one in town, and screw them." I mean, they're actually going much further than that. They're having boycotts, and
Right.
in some cases, they're having riots, and it's interesting to use a subtle way of putting it.
But what I find interesting is there's a lot of outrage, especially online and in media. And, because of the algorithms that are happening in my social media sphere, that's pretty much all I'm seeing, right? So I don't know as much as I probably should about how much and what's happening on the other side. I do because of the comments that are in these social media and whatever clips are on the news and the things that I'm seeing from the politicians themselves and some of the individuals. But it's really hard to get a gauge on what exactly and how many and what percentage of people are really for this. I can't in this environment really get a good, accurate understanding. Definitely not based on the results of the election. And, because if you look at, 70 whatever million who voted for Trump, right? Allegedly. Let's just say it is accurate.
Yeah.
That's who did vote for Trump, right? It was, if it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong. I think it was 1 million less than when he won the election against Hillary. So he actually won with less votes.
Right. No, that I believe that's correct.
So here he is with less votes, right? So, and Hillary's turnout was not great compared to Obama in previous elections. So already something is weird there, right?
But I think she had a higher popular vote count than he did, I think.
Yes, she did. However, it was still lower than the turnouts previously for Democrats. Now what we're looking at is, Biden comes and he wins the popular vote by quite a good margin. When you look at the number of votes that didn't show up, either Democrat, Republican, or whatever, I think it was somewhere between 10 and 13 million from the previous election. A good majority of these were Democrat votes when you start doing the math, right? So that is to make the assumption that this 10 million, let's just call a number.
That's what I keep saying.
Let's just say
approximately 10 million. Yeah.
just didn't show up. And it just so happens to be that they didn't show up in the states that were the battleground states in the majority of these
Which
votes.
is when it gets kind of funny, yeah.
That's where things start getting really funny. So you would have to believe that there was a good population of Democrats or people who voted for Democrats who just couldn't find it in their heart to vote for a black woman. Right? They just could not do it. They were not going to vote for a rapist felon, but they weren't going to vote for a black woman because they just couldn't find it in their heart. You would have to believe that, which is disgusting and despicable and ridiculous because she was highly qualified and she had some good things that she was going to try to get accomplished, right? And it was stopping the bleeding and hopefully moving in the right direction. The very, very, very minimum. So you would have to either believe that or you would have to believe that they did something with this election, right? Which is plausible.
Well, and on certain levels, they definitely did. I mean, they made
the evidence is very it's not there. Let's just put it.
No, I know what you're saying, but at the very least, they did actually make voting more difficult. I'm not saying that they changed votes or did any
Well, this is not
like
even the discussion about voter suppression.
Okay.
This is not the discussion because I don't know how much harder they really made it. Maybe they did. I know they purged a lot of voting, So there was, let's just, but that doesn't add up to 10 million.
Right.
It's not going to add up to 10 million. Go ahead, pull those numbers.
No, I
guarantee you.
agree. I mean,
So-
maybe a few million, but
Right,
2,
but
3
this,
million.
I mean, this is a completely different discussion. We can
Yeah.
have it another time. But that is gerrymandering, voter suppression, pulling, all this other stuff.
Which is worth noting, but it doesn't get you to 10 million. Yeah.
Right, not having representation accurate in the Senate when a state like Montana has, counties in California have a larger population. So yeah, all of this is geared towards, their this misrepresentation of not only political stands and stuff, but individuals as well. Like, so my point being, back to where I started with this, how many people are really for this? Like, what percent of the population are we being hijacked by? That are really believing in this stuff, and the rest of them are either too complicit or too stupid to know what's happening and just like kind of just going about their business, who are now starting to wake up. And hopefully, there's no getting to the people that are behind this in the madness. That I have completely just given up on. It's outside of a few individuals who seem to be lost, in their lives. I don't see, like, the rest of them, forget it. It's so hopeless. Then there is and then, like I said, there's a good segment of the population, I'm hoping, that are just like, they go about their business and they're like, you know what, I go to my job, I do what I do, I really don't want to be involved with this, it's such a headache, I just want my life to be peaceful. And now it's not. And the more noise we make to say this is what's happening to you and this is why you feel this way, the more they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to vote next time.
Hopefully,
I'm not going to sit this one out. If that was the case, should they be more involved? Yes, look, I don't like people who are complacent in their lives, and just aren't living a full life. They're just kind of moping around, just going through the motions. But that's what we're dealing with. So, you know what? Maybe if you can get to those people, that's it. You're not going to get to maggots.
Right. No, it's not even worth. Yeah. It's not worth.
But how many of them are there? That's my thing.
Well, somebody threw out. It's been thrown out. 20% is what somebody said. I mean, the point is they're not even close to half the population.
I'm not talking about the hardcore maggots that are out there with the flags. How many voted Republican even?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like 20%, 30% of the total population.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Right. And like you said, that's not even dividing it up into hardcore versus just voted Republican.
Right. Oh, they did it because their husband did, or because their dad votes Republican.
Only what disgusts me is a lot of people that I thought were just Republican are spewing concepts that I would say are MAGA. They're not. I wouldn't call them standard Republican points. They're points that have entered the lexicon post-Trump. Tariffs being an obvious example. I mean, the idea that tariffs would be a useful economic tool was anathema to Republican thinking as much as Democratic thinking up until Trump, pretty much.
Look, their disdain for certain types of individuals and what they stand for is much greater than their logic or reasoning. And even if these are some people too, and this is like really disheartening, that are intelligent in every other aspect of their life.
Yep.
It's not a lot of them. I mean, I don't come across it as often because the vast majority of people that I encounter that are intelligent, I don't know how to, there's measures of intelligence, you can go in multiple different ways, but let's just say that what traditionally people would consider. The vast majority of those people that are wise are either Democrat, left-leaning, or very progressive. And the very progressive end, that didn't. Some people sat out because Kamala wasn't progressive enough, and those people drive me nuts too. But that's another discussion. But anyways, yeah. So, who are these people? We see them, we hear them, we see them at work, but I think they're much more of a minority than the noise that they're making. And we just got to make a hell of a lot more noise somehow.
No.
And stop playing their games.
Well, and you've actually shown up at 2 or 3 protests just recently.
Yeah.
I've been showing some of your pictures from those, incidentally. But you almost tipped onto something that we should probably bring up.
Hold on, let's just stop this
sure.
one then.
Sure. Have the,
We're at the 20-minute mark.
okay.
Which is probably double of what we should be doing. But anyways, yeah, that's me getting hyped here because, damn, it's just, we knew it was going to get bad. And it was like, hey, there's going to be dark days ahead. When he won, well, when the election was over, let's just say, and he came out on top somehow.
And we're leaving the how in the dust for the moment.
Right.
Actually, probably for the rest of today.
Look,
Yeah.
look. If that thing was messed with, we are never going to know the truth, ever, because
And
anything that happened, they buried it. They're doing it right now. The people that, even if they did come out, it'd be so hard to prove anything.
Well,
It's
and
kind of like the
unfortunately, even if we did prove it these days, they would just look the other way and say, "Yeah, that no, didn't actually happen." I mean, even if we had solid proof, which that's not going to happen, but hypothetically,
right.
That's how crazy.
And in this day and age, what's solid proof?
Well,
when it comes to computers and stuff like
that's true.
you're never gonna know. We're never gonna know.
But as I've going back to your earlier point, if we assume that there was some genuinely nefarious shit going on, none of it, in my mind, likely adds up to the number of votes that we're talking that would sway things. Unfortunately. So then, what's really going on? I don't know.
Right. Well, I say that if they did just purge millions of votes, which would be the easiest way.
Well,
and how would you prove they didn't?
Well, they did. We know they purged thousands. So.
Right, but how would you prove that they didn't purge?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and how would you enforce it, even if you could prove it? That's in this
right, especially
this
when they're
environment.
erasing all this data.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If maybe you guys know, make a comment. Like, what would be a way to go in and say, hey, maybe if everybody checked and said, hey, where's my vote, and is it counted in the tally?
Well, and people were starting to do that for a very brief moment in time, and then they just kind of gave up. I mean, yeah. So
how do we know what the hell happened here? I don't know, but it seems strange. But like I said, either way, millions sat out because they couldn't find it in their heart, which is disgusting, or they cheated, which is disgusting, which leaves us in a very, very disgusting freaking country. So, that'll end that.